Alright guys, here it is, the video I know some of you have been waiting on. My prediction video for the outcome of the Alabama-Florida State Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic game 2017 season. I'm going to make my case, make an argument for why the team that I choose to win will win, and I'll announce that at the end of the video. But before I do that, here's just some quick news or some interesting facts that I thought you should know before the game starts. Nick Saban has said that the holding kicking game, so they were having trouble with consistency of snapping the ball and holding the ball for the kicks. They were having trouble developing consistency for that, but it has developed consistency as of now since the end of the second scrimmage and on as the practices continued. So he's confident in that. Also, it seems that Andy Papanastos has eked out in front, and he's earned praise from Nick Saban on his radio show on Thursday night. So J.K. will do the long field goals, and Andy Papanastos will do the shorter field goals. And I believe I'm inferring here that Bulovas will redshirt this season, which maybe just do some good for him in general. So that's pretty cool that we've kind of narrowed it down. We do have two long snappers, and they both will play. The name is Scott Meyer and Thomas Fletcher. Thomas Fletcher is the true freshman, the two-star long snapper who got a scholarship. That's very rare that happens. So he got a scholarship. One of them will handle the punts on long snapping, and the other one will do the long snapping for field goals. Nick Saban didn't say who was doing what, but that's how it will go down. Also, Raekwon Davis and Joshua Jacobs will be medical decisions when the game starts. So whether they play or not will be determined when we see tomorrow. Also, just one last thing. Florida State, since 2010, has 78 wins. Alabama, since 2010, has 86. That's number 1 and number 2 in the nation. Alabama has the most wins since 2010, and Florida State has number 2. This matchup, I like it the more and more we talk about it. But anyway, let's get into this matchup. So we know the players, we know the names. Knowing the names and knowing the players, that doesn't help you predict the game. So we know Derwin James, we know he's talented. We know Minkah Fitzpatrick, we know he's talented. We know DeAndre Francois, he was a redshirt freshman last year. He's a redshirt sophomore this year. We know Jalen Hurts, he was a true freshman last year. He's a sophomore this year. We know Bo Scarborough. We know Jock Patrick. We know Cam Akers. We know Najee Harris. We know Auden Tate. We know all the receivers. We know Calvin Ridley. We know all these guys. But none of those things, or none of those players alone make a victory. It's about what they do on the field and how they're set up. So, and also how the rest of the team plays together with them. So, there's no point in talking about talent advantages or disadvantages in this matchup because both teams are very, very talented. And you don't necessarily need all the talented players in the world to beat a team anyway. So that's like my least favorite part talking about prediction videos. I talk about matchups and I talk about what players can have impact. And that's what I'm going to get into right now. So first of all, I'm going to get into offensive line. The offensive line is key for both teams in the matchup because Florida State's been struggling on offensive line for the last few years, and they had some struggles. I did analysis of the Michigan game, and they were getting whooping at times in that game. Sometimes they were winning. It was a struggle, though. They really let Francois take some hits and get hurt last year. Not to knock him out games, of course, but to really just make him scared for his life at times. I saw it. Alabama, on the other hand, offensive line has been solid for the last couple of years, notwithstanding the right side, specifically in 2015 with Dominique Jackson at right tackle, who couldn't really pass block as well, but was very strong when he got his hands on you. And last year, he kind of had his little up and down on the right side with the guard position switching in and out constantly, but that eventually settled toward the end of the season. And now this season, it's about the right tackle battle again. So the left side of the line has always been good, but the right side has been interesting as determining who's the best player for that side. With that said, though, I believe Alabama has the advantage on the offensive line because I believe our offensive line is better prepared to play well as they have players who all play well who come back, while Florida State has not. And I'm getting to that. So Alabama has Jonah Williams returning, who played right tackle for Alabama last year when Cam Robinson was the left tackle. But Jonah Williams actually graded out better than Cam Robinson over the course of the year. as a true freshman. Now he's moving to the left side and there's been no problems. Left guard Ross Pierce-Baker. He's been starting at left guard since a redshirt freshman 2015. He's in his third year experience. He's gotten better. Bradley Bozeman, center, second year in a row starting, and he took over for Ryan Kelly and did a great job last year. A lot of people were really scared about the center position, and he really took over well for the former first-round pick. Now, at right guard, we're going to have Lester Cotton, who got some starts last year. He was a bit inconsistent according to the coaching staff, but eventually he kind of settled down and got himself going. So Lester Cotton is in at right guard, and then finally at right tackle it will be Matt Womack / Jedrick Wells. Matt Womack is a redshirt sophomore, and Wells is a true freshman. Wells is very talented, and he's been pushing. Or Wills, keep saying Wells, but either way, this line has a ton of potential, along with starters who all played well. These guys don't struggle. Florida State, on the other hand, has some issues. Mainly that Derek Kelly, the last time he started at tackle was 2015 when he played right tackle, and he was a freshman? I think he was a freshman actually, and he got hurt last year. He came back, played guard, still recovering from his injury, from his knee injury, and he struggled because he was out of shape. He hadn't really recovered as much as well, so now he's back to say he's stronger than ever. His body looks good, like he cut down on fat, not chubby. Basically got into good shape. Now the question is, will he make that transition to left tackle really well? And two, will he be able to play that position to the level that needs to be? That's the question there. So Florida State's offensive line has question marks, I should say. Now, left guard, of course, is going to be Landon Dickerson, who started last year. He did really well. He just got hurt. So question mark for him is, how will he respond coming back from injury? Will he be as good to start off? At center, they have Alec Eberle, who started last year, who had ups and downs. A lot of people were really big. A lot of hate on him. Wasn't that bad as some of the people made it out to be, but he wasn't elite by any means. I saw him in the Michigan game get beat quite a few times. But apparently he was dealing with a hip issue that he got fixed with surgery. So he's recovering from surgery, but not so much recovering, but he's going to play now after that surgery. So this is interesting to see how he responds with his body. And right guard, you're going to have Cole Minshew, who I laugh because in the Michigan game, I don't know if it's indicative of his overall play, but he just had trouble using his hands and his hand placement. He struggles with his hand usage to keep the defensive lineman off of him and keeping them away from the quarterback repeatedly. They knocked his hands away and ran right by him. That is going to be interesting to see him go against some of these guys. And then, of course, at right tackle, they have Rick Leonard, who's a converted defensive lineman. He got better as the year went on last year. He got benched, but he came back. And now he's playing right tackle again. I noticed that he seems to me to be a little bit athletically limited, at least in his footwork at times, as guys were kind of able to push around him a little bit, but he kept him at bay. Thing is, they're going to have to do this. This offensive line is going to have to go against Deron Payne, Deshaun Hand, and if not Raekwon Davis, Josh Frazier. And this is the interesting part about this line. This Alabama defensive line here is not so much as like premier pass rushers. More so, all these guys are very strong point of attack controllers. They'll get their hands on you and you can't move them. These defensive linemen here, like they're all very strong. Deron Payne, of course, he's like second to Derek Nottie in terms of strength in college football, I believe. And he's amazing. But they're going to have to deal with that. Florida State is going to have to get pushed on these guys. They're going to have to put hands on these guys. And I do not believe they will be able to do so. At least stop them or to move them. And when you can't move the Alabama defensive line, the linebackers can roam free. And that's just the middle linebacker and the will linebacker. But then that also leaves the Sam and Jack linebackers to rush effectively. And Christian Miller, Terrell Hall, and Anthony Jennings, I'm predicting that they will beat the right and left tackles of Florida State. Derek Kelly and Rick Leonard will not be able to hold up against Christian Miller and Anthony Jennings and Terrell Hall and all the other guys coming behind them, especially when they can't get much help when the rest of their line is occupied by these defensive linemen. And that leads to my second point, which is that Francois has a tendency to lose ball placement when he's pressured. So if I'm already arguing the point that the FSU offensive line won't be able to handle the Alabama front seven. This is the prediction I'm making. This is the thing about predictions. We don't know what's going to happen until it happens, but I'm predicting that their line won't be able to hold the Alabama front seven. And that pressure is going to get to Francois. He's going to be rattled. Even if we don't necessarily get sacks on him every time, he's going to feel the pressure coming. And I'm not basing this on anything. He does lose. I'm not basing this on air, I should say. I noticed in the Michigan game, he has a tendency to, when he gets rattled from pressure or when he feels people coming, he gets rid of the ball in some unorthodox ways, and it leads to the ball not being where it needs to be. There's been plenty of times where on a curl or stick route, I saw him hitch routes, he's throwing the ball because the pressure's in his face, and the ball ends up being low and inside to the receiver, and you do not want that to happen because it's a pick, or at least a batted down ball. It's supposed to be high into the outside where only your receiver can get it, but the pressure causes him to lose ball placement on the ball. And against Alabama defensive backs, especially this particular group, who over the last couple of years or so, they've been taught to attack the ball, go after the ball, try to get the ball out belt. When Alabama makes a big play, they get the belt and put it on. This team's been told to go after the ball. If you make those type of throws against this group, you will get picked off. And so this is a very dangerous territory for Francois. Leading to my other point, which I'm going to flip over here, because I'm going to talk about the Florida State defensive line. I talked about the Alabama defensive line holding up against Florida State's offensive line. Now, how would Alabama's offensive line do against Florida State's defensive line? That is an excellent question, because that'll determine how well Alabama's offense does in this game. Derek Nottie and DeMarcus Christmas are really great to watch. Great defensive tackles. That's actually what I'm most concerned about with this Florida State defense. Those two are amazing to watch in the middle. And so here's the thing. Josh Sweat and Brian Burns, the two rushers on the outside, they actually don't concern me as much as Derek Nottie and DeMarcus Christmas. I actually believe that Jonah Williams and Matt Womack or Jedrick Wills will be able to hold up against Josh Sweat and Brian Burns very evenly. I don't believe Josh Sweat can beat Jonah Williams, at least not consistently. And Brian Burns, while he may be very athletic, he may have the opportunity to put some speed on Matt Womack. If Jedrick Wills is playing, it'll be a really nice athletic matchup. So I don't think that's more like a wash over there, but definitely Jonah Williams will win against Josh Sweat. I'm predicting that. The only place where I think there's trouble from the defensive line for FSU consistently will be from Derek Nottie and DeMarcus Christmas against Ross Pierce-Baker, Bradley Bozeman, and right guard would be Lester Cotton. That group is not scrubbed by any hand, but those two are special. So the three in the middle of Alabama's offensive line have to at least tie this group or hold up really well. But with that said, as long as they do that, those outside rushes are nullified, giving Jalen Hurts just enough time to either get the ball out to Calvin Ridley or Robert Foster or to run. So I believe Alabama's offensive line is actually in a greater place to protect their quarterback than Florida State's offensive line is. So that's one of the reasons why I'm giving Alabama offensive line an advantage over the Florida State offensive line, even though the Florida State's defensive line is probably more proven pass rush-wise. Definitely pass rush-wise. I'll give Alabama's defensive line the ability run-stopping-wise and anchoring at the line of scrimmage-wise. I'll give us that. But the Florida State pass rush is really scary. But I believe our offensive line is better equipped to handle it than Florida State's. And because of that, Jalen Hurts won't be under as much pressure as Francois. Now, with that being said, let's move on to the coordinators. This is another thing why I'm going into analyzing. I do not believe Charles Kelly can get this unit for Florida State to function defensively superior like they're supposed to, or at least play to the level that their talent is. Charles Kelly, in my opinion, has yet to coach the unit consistently in all his years. They'll either start out very bad, then get better. They'll start out like a mess, and then they slowly turn into more of an elite unit as the year passes on. But they don't usually consistently do it from front beginning of the year and out. And many argue that last year the reason why Florida State defense looked good toward the end of the year is because they stopped playing spread mobile QB offenses. And to be honest, I'm going to say this. Every team struggles with dual threat quarterbacks, which is why they're called dual threat quarterbacks. A quarterback who can run and throw is just a nightmare for any defense. we like to like say and pick and pieces about for specific teams like Alabama to say, oh, Alabama can't handle mobile quarterbacks, Florida State can't handle mobile quarterbacks. No team can handle a mobile quarterback really. If the mobile quarterback is playing well, running and passing, there's really nothing you can do, which is why everyone covets a dual threat quarterback. But that's a side note here. What I'm saying though is that when they stopped playing dynamic dual threat quarterbacks and their defense got better, many people argued that. And so the thing is, did they just immediately get a whole bunch better, or was the competition lower? That's another point to be made. But either way, they haven't consistently played from beginning of year to end of the year good defense. I don't believe Charles Kelly can do that for his defense, and that is another check for Alabama in my book. Whereas Jeremy Pruitt, we know he can get the job done. When Jeremy Pruitt was defensive coordinator at Florida State in 2013, they won a national championship. They were a consistent defensive unit, and that also brings up another point for me. Jeremy Pruitt isn't afraid to blitz. Kind of unlike Kirby Smart. Jerry Pruitt will definitely, he's going to be like on 33% of the downs last year, where Kirby Smart will only do like 19%. And so Jeremy Pruitt will actually send pressure and get after your quarterback and make him make bad throws. I like that. I like aggressiveness, especially because Francois has shown the tendency to get rattled when he gets pressure. Combine that with more pressure, and he may make some mistakes. And that actually leads me to another point. Usually, Alabama has troubles when the quarterback, even when he's pressured, stands in the pocket, Deshaun Watson, stands in the pocket, takes hits, and still makes magnificent throws to his receivers, who are usually outstanding, physically gifted, and make exceptional plays. And in order for Florida State to beat Alabama, one, their offensive line had to play as well as Clemson's offensive line did, which honestly wasn't as good as they made it seem toward the end of the game when our defensive players were tired. But as well as the Clemson offensive line did, and their skill position wide receivers, their wide receivers have to play that well, catch every ball thrown away, and the quarterback has to make every throw perfect. I don't believe they can do that, nor will they do that in this game. When you add that up, and I'm not done here because, well, let me just keep going. Let me talk about Florida State's defense. So, Florida State's offense, I believe, will not be able to gain much traction in this game. But Florida State's defense will keep them in this game because their defense is just that good. They're athletic, they're strong. But the thing is, when your offense is inept, you run out of gas. That's what happened to them in the Michigan game. That's why Michigan was able to catch up. Florida State's defense is elite. It's a great unit. Derwin James, Bryce McFadden, these guys are great. They're great. Levante Taylor, I believe in all of them. Stephanie Myers, all of them. But when you're consistently on the field, Alabama did this last year against Clemson. We were up. I don't think people realize this. We were up 24-14. And we ended up losing the game 35-31 because defense stayed on the field the whole second half. When that happens, you just get tired. You can't defend as well. I believe Alabama will do that to Florida State. Alabama won't necessarily just run up and down the field scoring or even like break the levy. There's a possibility of breaking the levy like we did on USC where we just score all those points, but I don't think that'll happen because this Florida State defense, this Florida State team, I believe, is actually a better team than that USC team was last year. I think it's easy to argue that actually. That USC's defensive team wasn't as talented. But so the thing is, won't be able to run up and down the field, but eventually, as they stay on the field, keep getting ran against, keep having to chase down Jalen Hurts, they're going to get tired. And then those defensive backs are going to start slowing off a little bit. Calvin Ridley and Robert Foster are going to find it a little bit easier to get open down the field. Alabama made a score and a touchdown extra field goal late, middle third quarter toward the end, just kind of run the clock out. But Florida State won't have enough firepower or enough ability to stay in the game, which is why I'm predicting Alabama to win this game 27-14. Give or take mistakes, fumble recoveries for touchdown, interception. You can't really predict that stuff. It just happens. Although I did predict it a few times right last time. But my prediction is Alabama 27-14. Not a flat-out dominated double score digit, victory, but a grinded out one. I do not believe Florida State will have enough offense to score on Alabama. Or not that they won't have enough offense, that their offensive line won't give their offense the opportunity to score against Alabama. Now, you can agree with me or not. I'm not forcing you to. You can give me reasons why I'm wrong. You can give me reasons why you think Alabama will lose. You can give me reasons why you think it will be a one-score game. Do that in the comment section. Let me know. But also, I want this. If you made it to this part of the video, let me know. What do you think about? Do you feel like I gave a good reasoning for why I predicted that way? I just want to know what you guys think about that. I want to know, what do you think about my reasons and my argumentation for making to that point there? Either way, this is my prediction for the Alabama-Florida State game. I'll see you after the game.